name is Chris Snow, and tonight I'm going to be talking about a few people. Paris Hilton, Snooki, Kim Kardashian. Hell, anybody with the last name Kardashian. You familiar with these people? Probably. Why is that? Have they done something significant to move society forward? Did they cure cancer? Did they do your taxes? No. It's reality television, and that's what I'm going to be talking about tonight. Do you see any of these people positively? Probably not. And that is what my argument is going to be tonight, and that is that reality television is having a negative impact on society. Some of the reasons for this that I'll be discussing are that the name reality television implies that it is real, which it isn't. Reality TV also negatively impacts our interactions with others in society. And then the third point I'm going to be trying to make is reality television negatively affects young people's attitudes and values. So my first point is about the name of reality television and why that's an issue. It's a problem because, like I said, it's not real. Reality television is a made-up thing. It may not be scripted, but it is put together by casting directors. They cast people to fit a particular role: the villain, the slut, the racist, whatever it may be. And it's all put together by producers and writers. It's the same thing as like any television show you watch. It's just not real, and the whole point is to build this conflict to get people to watch, to get people into it, to elicit some kind of emotional response. Editors cut the film and they put it to tell stories. A lot of times you'll watch a reality show, say it's 30 minutes, and they really only they film for 2 weeks and they only focus on maybe 1% of what they actually film. So they make these stories, they cut it together where you see them having a conversation with someone, where you don't actually see their mouths move. That's because they didn't say it at that time, but they spliced it together to make it seem like they're having some kind of debate, some kind of argument, some kind of drunken discussion about life or whatever it may be. And it's really, when you put these things together and you paint these pictures of people being drunk and fighting and arguing and having like a lack of class, it leads me to my second point, which is that it negatively impacts our interactions with each other in society. A dangerous thing with reality television is that it reinforces and it creates stereotypes. We see, when you see these shows, like for example, Jersey Shore, Keeping Up with the Kardashians, housewives of every other city in the world. And the thing that you see on these people is that some of the ideas are that women are only as good as how they look. Same thing with men. Men are only valuable if they have money. I mean, these are the kind of ideas that it leads to a really negative interaction that we have with other people, because then we think that that's real, because it's advertised as being reality TV. And there's a morally questionable behavior on these shows, and it encourages acceptance of this morally questionable behavior. Like for example, you see like the affairs. You see these people, being drunk and gossiping behind each other's backs and just being insulting. And it's really doesn't give the idea of how people really should interact and how people really do interact. But that, you may understand that, but younger people don't, which is my third point, which it really negatively affects young people's attitudes and values. Channels like MTV, with their reality shows, they target youth and probably, our generation. And shows like Teen Mom, Real World, The Hills, Buck Wild, 16 and Pregnant. I mean, these are all shows that are obviously geared towards young people, and they don't exactly send a positive message. And the success of these shows leads to other crazy, disgusting shows full of debauchery and drinking and all kinds of other crazy things. Because what sells, more drinking and more debauchery. You watch these shows, you don't talk about oh, so-and-so had a good opinion on, physics. No, you talk about, oh, so-and-so got drunk and peed in the street, whatever it may be. It encourages the pursuit of celebrity at any cost. There was this group, you guys probably heard of the Bling Ring, and what they basically emulated, they wanted to be like these people that they saw on TV. They wanted to be this wealthy, socialites. So they went and robbed a bunch of houses from Paris Hilton and other celebrities, and took these things because they thought that what they had, those tangible things, were important. You know, it kind of spoke to them. It also kind of gives the idea that hard work and education aren't important, that you can be famous just for being famous. You know, it doesn't give you the idea that a young girl should go to school and learn something, or a young guy should, you know, be nice to other people. It just gives you this idea that you can go out to the world, make an ass of yourself, and then that's enough to be something significant. And the funny thing is, some of these people that are on these shows are actually successful business people, and actually are, you know, productive members of society, but you don't get that picture. It also distorts our views, our youth's views of relationships. The relationships on this are always of unstable people. There was a survey by the Girl Scouts Research Institute that of 1,144 girls aged 11 to 17, and the girls on there, more than a third of those girls thought that their value was tied to how they look. I mean, that's a pretty sad state, you know? So at the very least, reality TV has a negative impact, and at its worst, it has a negative impact on how we view reality and how we interact with other people. So in conclusion, reality TV distorts the youth's view of each other in relationships. It's not real, and it negatively impacts all of our interactions with others in society. So this is why I think reality television is a negative thing for all of us.
All right, Chris, the proposition's clear, the timing is excellent, the contents of the speech are previewed a little bit. You seem to assume that there's controversy on the subject. I mean, the truth is, your attitude from the beginning seems to be kind of conspiratorial with the audience. We all know what a bunch of crap this is, and so I'm not exactly sure that anybody's going to be disputing some of the ideas that you're talking about. It's very value-laden in a number of places, and instead of being oriented toward claims of fact. I thought you did a good job signposting the secondary points and making clear transitions between those points, but I think the arguments that you're presenting are really conclusionary, and you need much better evidence on those points. For example, on the very first point, you go through this whole description of how the reality television program works and all those sorts of things, and I think you're probably right on that, but I ought to get a source citation on that. This is a presupposition on your part that they do these kinds of things, that they do it a particular way. And by the way, I think you're talking about specific kinds of reality programs. There are other kinds of reality programs that might not fit into the classification that you're talking about. So you might want to classify it to those programs that are focused on, I don't know, lifestyle or images or something like that. I'm not exactly sure Pawn Stars is the kind of thing that you're talking about here. You've got examples of things, but you kind of assume that everybody's going to know what those examples are. I think you probably need to cite them a little bit more specifically. And then the notion that people are affected by those examples, that's the thing that I think we need more proof on, that there is some connection between the way people think and feel and act and these programs. I don't see much proof on that. The closest you get to citing a specific piece of information on that is that Girl Scout survey, but none of it seems to be connected to reality television. It just seems like the Girl Scouts are living the lives that a lot of girls do, and that is that, they've been taught that looks matter. Where does it say that they were taught that looks matter because they were exposed to the Kardashians or to Paris Hilton? That's the thing that I think is missing from your argument. All right, I got to stop so we can get in our